Morning, everybody. It is the 6th on Sunday of February. I'm going to try to post something. I posted some of this stuff a long time ago, and it got blocked. So I'm gonna chance it on this one because this all came off of one record, and we'll just have to see what happens with this. But speaking of posting, this is themes that I've done with Mike Post, all the television themes. And this was an album called Music from LA Law and Otherwise that was compiled in 1988. There's a ton of people on this record, so rather than me blabbing away here, I'm going to read off a bunch of credits because there's a lot of people that don't get credited that are the orchestral players that work on these. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to put it up and keep my fingers crossed that this doesn't get blocked. So we'll see what happens. But I really enjoyed yesterday doing my one-on-ones with everybody. It makes for a really wonderful day of just catching up on everybody, different people's lives, sharing what we're up to and stuff. And it's a really wonderful bunch of people. So I totally dug it and really look forward to that every month. But so the people on this record, fingers crossed, are myself on bass, Willie Ornelas on drums, John Gu on guitar. The French horns on this are the great Vince DeRosa, David Duke, Ron Kaufman, Brian O'Connor, and Jim Atkinson. The flutes are James Walter. The flute, actually, is just one, James Walter. Oboe is Phil Ayling. Clarinet is Jim Cantor. Percussion, Gary Coleman and Jeff Gerson. The violin, big section, Sid Sharp, Joe Lyle, Kurt Dieterle, Dorothy Wade, Carl Lamagna, Mike Markham, Tibor Zelig, Tristan Dell, Harold Dictro, Henry Ferber, Franklin D'Antonio, Charles Veal, Bill Kurash, and Pat Johnson. Saxophone on this is Dave Boroff. The synth parts are Pete Robinson and Mike Post. Cello is Jesse Ehrlich, Ray Kelly, Susie Katayama, Ron Cooper, Nils Oliver, Tina Soul, and Jerry Kessler. So when we did all these TV shows, it was big sections, and this one really didn't have like a big brass section on it, but many times we had pretty good sized horn section too on some of the dates, and on many of the dates we did, Mike Baird was playing drums on probably most of them. So this is the list that came with this, but there's those shows were always pretty big orchestral dates, and it was always a thrill. You go in there and you just had this room full of like amazing musicians, and a great deal of the music was written by Mike Post, and then it was also when his partner Pete Carpenter was still alive, who was his kind of mentor. It was Post and Carpenter. I first started working on TV shows with them with the Rockford Files was the first one, and then we just did almost everything for like a couple of decades. And my relationship with Mike Post goes back to when he produced our band group Therapy in 1967. So I've known Mike a very long time. So I'm just going to play music right now. This is an album where it's just was taken in off of an LP and downloaded. So I'm just going to let this thing run, and it just goes through all of the different tracks. So here we go. First one is Hill Street Blues. So I think Larry Carlton, is doing synth guitar on this one. here's Magnum PI. Yeah. And then here's the Rockford Files. That was also the great Tommy Morgan on harmonica. That track goes on quite a bit longer too. Now the thing is, with most of these themes, they were really complete songs. They would chunk of it was what was used when the show would come on the air and go off the air, but they were really complete. Some of them were almost like suites, and it was really just. It was so much fun. First off, kept your reading chops up because everything was scored. So we'd sit down and we'd have a big book for the day of all the different scenes beyond the themes of the shows. We had all the internal music, the chase scenes and everything. And there was quite a bit of music written in all these shows. Hill Street Blues in L.A. Law and Hunter and 10 Speed and Brown Shoes and Quantum Leap. Just so many shows. I mean, Mike and Pete, and then Mike on his own, was incredibly prolific in this field, and still going at it. I mean, Mike's still at it. I mean, his stuff is heard around the world. I don't know how many times a day. It's really unbelievable. Every time I'm on the road and I go to a different country, turn on TV, and there's one of the shows is on at least every couple of hours. It seems it's pretty amazing. So I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope that this doesn't get blocked. So we'll see what happens here. But I'm gonna wish everybody a great rest of the weekend, and again, thank you to especially the medical community who's doesn't get weekends. These people are working constantly around the clock trying to save people's lives. Things, are getting better, but in LA, the numbers are still incredibly high. They're not as virulent for the people who have been vaccinated. They're not hospitalized for the most part, but we're still looking at probably a good 100 deaths a day. I don't mean good in a good way. I mean, it's around 100 people dying a day, and that's just unacceptable. The depth of where this goes with family and friends and the grief it causes is really, you can't put words to it. So I'll be back tomorrow. I got a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow, but I look forward to finding another piece. I found something. I'm trying to track down the tracks I played on it. So have a great rest of your weekend. I'm going to, please don't block this one. It gets, it's every day it's like a little bit of anxiety, wondering if things are going to be for naught, but we'll see. So I'm going to get going and upload it here and see what happens. So take good care, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.